Learning how to skate transition starts with dropping in. Start on a bank, making sure your wheels are flush with the transition. Lean on your front foot and roll down the transition.
Hello all you beautiful people, my name is Zach Dowdy. Today we're talking about how to skate transition. We're at one of my favorite places to skate, Washington Street Skate Park here in San Diego, a DIY skate park built entirely by skateboarders. So we're going to talk about small transition, big transition, what's the difference, and the different types of transition. There's bank, there's steep, there's loose. So that's what we're going to get into today. Let's get warmed up here at Washington Street. So the idea with this video is just to give you some tips and hacks on how to skate transition. I have a lot of specific trick tips which I've done before. This is going to be just a general blanket from like beginner to expert, I guess, type of thing. The first one I wanted to talk about is just going over a spine. One of the first transition tricks that I learned is how to go over a spine. You basically do the same thing as dropping in, like I was talking at the very beginning of this video, is you just go over it and you go to drop in position and then you go down. And the reason that I bring that up is because it's a good advantage to learning tail slides. You can almost learn how to slide your tail before actually getting into tail slides. So just going straight and over the spine, making sure your back chucks make it over the coping and locking it in, just like you're gonna drop in and then going forward. Eventually, if you go at an angle, you can then do tail slides like right here at Washington Street. It kind of turns into a corner, so I really using that to my advantage and sliding around it. So it's like little things like that can help you learn tricks, is like thinking of tricks in a different way and how to get to them. So the main thing with skating a spine, like the one behind me, as far as like going up and dropping, like I was saying, very easy beginner transition trick to do, is just you want to make sure you're out in the back, you're leaning back until you get to the other side, and then you're leaning forward. There's no teeter-tottering. That is the common mistake that beginners tend to make, is they get to the top and they don't know which way to lean. So make sure you're leaning back as you go over and then shift all your weight to the front. A way to bell is just like making sure you get onto the front side or the back side. Try not to stop at the top ideally, unless you're already on your tail. Then you can stop as long as you need to, read a book if you want, and drop back in. You got something on your foot. You gotta tell.
Oh, Claremont Skate Park, fuck you. Fuck you, Claremont Skate Park. You're gonna let me in free next time, I swear to God.
Hey, I got a question for you. What's the difference between skating regular transition and like a bank, like that bank right there?
The bank is like, it's just a different angle. Transition's like a quarter pipe, so you gotta be more like over it, but skating a bank, kind of just like let the bank do the work. I guess you let the quarter pipe do the work too, but.
I was thinking you almost like pop your tricks differently too.
Oh yeah, oh, completely
like all
different.
the tricks are almost different on a bank.
Yeah.
Is it easier or harder, or is it just different?
Harder for me, different, just in general though.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely just different.
Yeah. But it's good to like what about learning tricks on a bank? Do you think that's easier, or?
I think that is like flip tricks. I think that's way easier to learn on a bank.
Your board,
yeah.
Like a kick flip pivot on a bank is easier than on transition.
But a frontside ollie on transition, or frontside air, you know, grabbing the board is much easier on transition than it is on a bank. Now, once you learn tail slides and some other fundamental basics like rolling in, I have a bunch of other tutorials. Like I said, I'll leave a playlist link up above for all those videos, different specific tricks. But I've learned a lot of tricks on banks because for me, it's less scary than transition. There's less like swoosh and zing out factor. It's just less fear. It's more of a mental thing for me. But banks are nice because you can run out of them easier. You get on top of them. So if you want to learn how to do pivots, a bank is definitely a good option because you can stall on there a lot easier than coping. You don't have to worry about locking in. As well as if you're a street skater and you're trying to learn how to skate transition, a bank is a good place to start because it's less of that swooshing, zing, swinging motion that you do have to get used to once you start skating steeper transition.
reverse for something that has a lot of vert on it, or a cradle like this behind me, you almost want a wider stance. You want to stay more crunch. It's less of like getting light footed, where a bank there is more light foot involved in that. You can be lighter with your body. When you're skating something that's over vert, a really big transition, especially if you're not used to it, make sure you stay compressed as you go up. And as I've said before, have a wider stance. Having a wider stance on transition in general is going to be a big advantage. And it might not look as good. It's not as stylish looking. With your front foot more in the back, it looks better aesthetically looking, and tricks are actually harder and they're more stylish. You have to have like more of a pinch. With your foot in the front, you can really balance things out. So I think that is a good tip when you're trying to learn how to skate bigger transitions. Stay compressed and bring your foot up on the board a little more than you normally would. Skating a bank like this one behind me is going to be really intimidating because it's really big, but the reality is it's a lot easier and a lot, I guess, safer to skate than transition, because you sort of slide out of it on your butt or run out of it a lot easier than transition, because you don't trip over your toes. Like big transition is a lot easier to do. So learning tricks on big banks like this is actually a good way to get your confidence up for then trying it on bigger transition. Something else I want to mention when skating banks is like, it's very much a thrusting motion. So you're sort of thrusting yourself up to the top. So at the middle, you kind of find that like point to where you want to churn and then like leverage yourself up. And what I mean by that is like, you're just like using more of your shoulders to push yourself up rather than pumping. With like really big transition, it's a lot of pumping. With the bank, it's a lot of using your upper body as well as your lower body, but your upper body really kind of gets you up to the top of the bank. And that's advantage for something like a pivot or a backside disaster. You kind of start lower and then aim to get higher when you land. Something that's really helped me, and I still use it quite a lot when I'm trying to learn grinds on transition, like 50-50s or Smith grinds or anything like that, and like perfecting or getting longer, is finding a nice long flat wall. That makes such a big difference, because trying to learn tricks on a skinny or narrow quarter pipe or mini ramp is going to be really hard, because a lot of transition skating is the angle and the line that you take and the speed that you get. So being able to get speed so you can grind and do stuff is going to be a lot easier. Now, there is like, of course, this old saying that like if you go faster, it's actually easier, but it is more scary. So that is something to acknowledge. Going faster, you sort of can like make your way through tricks easier, but that also is scarier when you have to bail. So that is kind of like a give and take type of situation. The long flat walls are really good to learn 50-50 grinds on or anything like that. You could start small, like I am today. I started in the small back area, and then I brought it to the love seat. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of the transition skating really has to do with speed and your pumping and your lines. So something that I suggest is spending a lot of time just figuring out your lines and how you get to a certain thing, because a lot of times I do it myself. I try to think about a trick, I focus on that trick, and then I get all messed up in my head, and it just doesn't end up working out as well as I think or I imagine it to work out. So yeah, figuring out your lines and how to get something is going to really open up different doors, allow you to do the tricks that you want to do, but not only that, maybe incentivize you to try other tricks that you wouldn't otherwise have done. So yeah, making sure you're spending enough time just carving, taking different routes to tricks that you normally wouldn't take is going to allow you to get more familiar with the transition, and then allow you to keep your speed better when you're trying tricks. All right, all you beautiful people, I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed this little video on how to skate transition, just some different variables. I do a lot of specific tricks, so this is more of a round sweep of how to skate transition. I do lots of different videos, so if you're interested, make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Appreciate all you beautiful subscribers. Make sure you smash that like button if you did enjoy this video. See you guys in the next one. Mash. I'm doing a whole blanket, like wide foot stamps.
Yeah. If you really want to get good at transition, you gotta start sleeping 24 hours a day, because then you can get, you know, full sleep, full rest before you do tricks. Next thing you guys want to do is just you know, you got to skate every day, honestly, or
Repetition.
you know, repetition, getting that board feel, staying on the board. Sometimes I get caught up in work and I'm not skating every day, and when I come out and skate, almost like I lose wind fast. So, you know, doing it over and over, it keeps your body healthy, it keeps your body prepared. You know, follow stretching and all that good stuff. Eat healthy, drink water.
Take some slams, but
take some slams, but try to skate every day if you can.
Yeah.
That's the truth to it.